Not every 5-star character in Genshin Impact is made equal. Some are so broken they almost need a debuff, and others are so niche that I can never find a team for them to use. But I still think Dehya has it the worst from the pool of standard 5-star characters, because what even is her gameplay supposed to be about? She's not a proper DPS, not a proper sub-DPS, and not even a proper support. She's in some weird limbo that makes her arguably one of the worst characters in Genshin. But even so, I still love playing Dehya because she's one of the coolest, prettiest, and most aura farming characters in the entire game, with great lore and inspirations. So let me just spout my love for Dehya for the next few minutes, and by the end of the video you too will bring her up to level 90.
Sing a song, sing along, take your sitar, let's sing all day long. Sing my sword, sing my bow, sing my tattered bandano. Fear no one, fear no lad, only fear if Dehya's mad. We love Dehya, she's beautiful and strong. Oh, our precious Dehya, we'll never do you wrong.
But first, who even is Dehya? Dehya, the Flame Main, is an eremite from Sumeru. The Eremites being a very loosely organized mercenary organization in the land of the Dendro Archon. Despite being decentralized, the Eremites are Sumeru's prime military force, and does anything from guard the gates of Sumeru City to escort convoys throughout the desert. Dehya is a member of a brigade of Eremites known as the Blazing Beasts, and is their most renowned member, but decidedly not their leader. The Lioness is famous throughout the general mercenary community in Sumeru, known as a brave, powerful, and reasonable sellsword, and is undoubtedly going to be one of the few Eremites to become a legend for the rest of history. It should be noted that, despite being a merc, Dehya is not a simple sword for hire. She's famous enough to be picky when it comes to her clients, and holds her dignity and heart in high regard. You won't see her get hired by a depraved organization like the Fatui, or anyone daring to harm the innocent. She's also extremely expensive, and hiring this professional is only for those who want premium service for a premium price. It's no wonder she grew such renown, as merc life is all Dehya ever knew. Dehya's father was the leader of a band of Eremites, so growing up, that was her family, and so she became accustomed to this life with few comforts, but also learned to cherish the relationship with her fellow Eremites, which also translated to her relationship with the other Blazing Beasts. But what about her nickname, Flame Main? That too came from her found family members in the Blazing Beasts, as when Dehya's fame grew amongst the Eremites, they decided she needed a nickname to announce whenever she won a battle, something to instill both awe and terror. So, the youngest members spent an entire night coming up with nicknames that Dehya rejected with a hearty laugh. Things like Sovereign of the Sands, the Crimson Edge, or a dozen nicknames with the words bloody or terror in it. The atmosphere reminded her of one of rare few good memories she had of her father and his mercenaries. This kept going until an older member of the group chimed in and asked if people knew the legend of the lion. Dehya knew this story by heart, as it was one her father, Kusela, often told her. The lion was a mighty beast who could shake off anything Teyvat threw at it, easily taking out 10 trained Eremites. But, joked her father, he had a few tricks up his sleeve to take it down and acted out the battle with one of the other members of the crew. It was stupid, silly, and their acting needed work, but it was a memory that lingered within Dehya for all these years. So her current companions decided on the name, Flame Main. Dehya wanted to also reject this one, as to not always be reminded of her father, but she did change her mind. She shouldn't avoid everything related to her father, and the story had a profound impact on her during her younger years. So why not? And so, the legend of the Flame Main was born. The Flame Main became famous for being as strong as many of her male counterparts, and being able to wield her greatsword with such ease that it's almost like she's dancing with it. But with all of that, there is one thing Dehya will never let herself forget. She is, first and foremost, a woman, and one blessed with immense beauty at that. No, this isn't just my opinion. Dehya is actually described in-game as being an undeniable beauty to anyone she encounters. With her frosted sapphire eyes, honeyed skin, and black and gold hair. Dehya herself also takes great pride in this fact, and she puts a lot of attention towards her looks. Whenever she can, she bathes to rid herself of the smell of sweat and battle, and whenever she has some spare time, she scours the markets for personal care products, makeup, powders, perfumes, jewelry, and whatever else she needs. Even Dory knows the Flame Main's love for such things.
I love my makeup box. Sometimes I take it out and reorganize it when I have the time. I keep all my powders and brushes in here, paid top Mora for all of it. Just look at this texture. Isn't it just perfectly smooth? And even if you sweat or get caught in the rain, it doesn't run. You get what you pay for.
This is all not just because Dehya likes it, though that is a large part of it. It also makes her stand out more to clients in comparison to other eremites, who are often unkept, smelly, crude, and reek of alcohol. Dehya does not like this at all and separates herself from the slobs who plague her trade, keeping up her good looks and leaving a perfect first impression on new clients. It's also somewhat therapeutic for Dehya, as she's often surrounded by weapons, blood, sweat, and business. Taking the time for some self-care and gentleness is a way for her to lower her defenses, embrace the future with a soft heart, and remind herself that her life is lovely and carefree, as any woman's life should be.
Friends? I don't know. After everything we've been through, all the battles we faced together, somehow friends just doesn't quite do it justice. I think, yeah, comrades in arms sums it up best for me. The bond we share can only be forged in the heat of battle. It's one of the most unbreakable bonds there is.
Dehya sadly doesn't really have a huge role during Sumeru's Archon quest, acting more as a supporting character throughout the journey by helping us and keeping her Elazar-stricken client Dunyarzad safe during the Sabzeruz festival arc and the subsequent business surrounding Scaramouche, the Academia, and Lesser Lord Kusanali. Her time to shine comes, as expected, during her character quest, Lion's Blood. In this quest, we join Dehya as she investigates the Eremite brigade of her father, who have reportedly been attacking, robbing, and even killing people for no reason, and were being employed by a larger organization called Deshret's Relics. During our investigation near Caravan Ribat, we find out that Dunyarzad's father might also be involved, as items belonging to him were found near the latest camp attacked by the rogue Eremites. Dunyarzad's father reveals that he had been backing the Eremites with things like food and medicine, as Dehya's father, Kusela, saved him and a baby Dunyarzad years ago, which is also why Dehya ended up being employed by the family, as her father wanted to give her a better life outside of the desert. But as the Eremites brigade grew more violent, Dunyarzad's father grew weary and wanted to break it off, but for some reason couldn't meet Kusela in person. Yet the letters asking for aid kept coming. Thanks to another lead, the Traveler and Dehya tracked down the Eremites to a camp in the desert. After a short clash, they revealed that Kusela had already died many years ago. Before his death, however, he snuck into the camp of Deshret's relics to burn any records tying his men to them, in order to sort of free them of service. Because of this, many of the men decided to use their new freedom to try and take revenge on Deshret's relics. The Traveler and Dehya decide to join them. Storming the headquarters of Deshret's relics, the group makes short work of the remaining Eremites, and one of the survivors, when asked about Kusela, tells Dehya to check the records room. Here, she finds her father's cane, whose hidden compartment reveals Dehya's wooden sword, the one she used to play with as a child. Her father had kept it throughout the years. Later on, Dehya and the Traveler also get a box filled with trinkets her father kept around before his death. While mostly junk, it also contains a letter from her father, revealing that he is not Dehya's birth father, but found her abandoned in the desert and took her in as her own. His men didn't know the truth, but all wanted her to have the freedom to live her life as she wanted. Dehya leaves the journey with a newfound respect and probably even love for her late father, and decides to try and find her birth parents, to show them the type of woman she has become thanks to Kusela.
Kusela was his name. As a merc, he had a slapdash way of working, and a whole lot of bravado. But he also saved me from the desert, and did whatever he could to pass on to me everything he had. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Okay, so Dehya has arguably one of the coolest backstories and general lore in Genshin Impact, especially for a character who's just a mortal and not a god or an angel. But, as we all know, her gameplay is a bit lacking, and she has become one of the least used or even played 5-star characters in the entire lineup. It doesn't help that Sumeru is already like 4 years old at this point. You're welcome. So let's quickly go over her kit and how I would fix it without changing too much. Her kit essentially revolves around her elemental skill, Molten Inferno. It creates a pretty large field with multiple benefits for other party members. It deals AoE pyro damage when summoned, deals more AoE pyro damage when an enemy inside it gets hit every 2.5 seconds. When you take damage when inside the field, a pretty big part of it gets transferred to Dehya as your off field. And finally, your character is more resistant to interruption. When you read this, it sounds amazing. AoE pyro damage, damage transference, and even interruption resistance. But it comes with so many caveats that it's hard to use without building your entire team around it. Firstly, any subsequent AoE pyro damage is on a 2.5 second cooldown, which is quite a lot in combat compared to other on-hit attacks like Raiden Shogun's skill, which has a 0.9 second cooldown. Funnily enough, these two work pretty well together for overload reactions. The fact that a bunch of the damage you take gets transferred to Dehya, who will be your off-field, is also not as ideal as you think, as it's pretty easy to lose track of how much HP Dehya has actually lost, even though there is a limit, meaning it's almost necessary to bring a healer who can heal off-fielders like Jean. Her elemental burst, Leonine Bite, is one of the coolest looking bursts in my opinion, again for not a god or something, as Dehya trades her greatsword for her fists and hammers away at the enemy, dealing pyro damage which speeds up with every punch. But as cool as it is, it always felt a bit awkward, as Dehya can't do anything else in this state and is locked in attacking a single enemy, meaning her damage output is quite low. It's also a pretty expensive burst for what it gives you, and Dehya also doesn't recover as many elemental particles as other characters. The fixes or buffs for both of these are quite easy in my opinion. Decrease the cooldown of the AoE pyro attacks of her skill, and buff the burst by making it AoE pyro damage instead of single target. I think that by turning Dehya into a AoE pyro powerhouse this way, will make her more useful in a lot more teams as a sub DPS or even burst DPS. But all of this gameplay business doesn't take away from the fact that Dehya is, in my opinion, one of the coolest characters in Genshin Impact, with amazing lore and potential for both more stories in the desert and a rework or buff to make her a pyro top lion. But what do you think about Dehya? And how would you change up her gameplay? Let me know in the comments below. A huge thank you to my 6-star pool member Cassia Ocelio. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or even becoming a member as I post regular deep dives and reviews into the games that I love.